Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Forever Bristol City podcast. I'm afraid it was, a bad day at the office all round. The final score at Pride Park, Derby County 3, City 0. I think a lot of us were going into this game with a lot of hope and expectation just of the game, never mind looking forward. I don't know what to say. One can overreact a little bit. I'm joined by Ian, a regular, obviously, and Mark's trying to connect. Might have a couple of other contributors as well, maybe a Derby view in about 15 minutes. But Ian, as we always do, what are your thoughts? What were your thoughts at 5-5, or maybe an hour later? Now you've had a chance to reflect.
Well, I just put a review up on Twitter, or X as it's called now. If I'd written that review after 25 minutes, it would have been quite glowing because we were much better than they were. We were managing the ball, nice touches from Twine, Bird. And if you look at that period, Armstrong had two really good chances, one-on-ones with the keeper, but he took the ball too close to the keeper. And it's a mistake a lot of young forwards make, so hopefully they'll coach that out of him. And his shots were blocked. And Twine had two presentable chances, both of which he missed. He claimed that one was handball. It probably was. But once again, the officials, I don't know what's happened, but the officials in the championship this season seem to be either having a really bad time or they're just not very good.
Yeah.
So I think
Sorry, and I think about referees. If you've seen what Declan Rice got booked for today, it turned out to be sending off.
I mean it's just not sensible. Even up to half time, I thought we'd come back and we'd get an equaliser and we'd probably win the game. The second half, I think very few people came out of the game with any credit. I mean, I thought George Tanner and Cam Pring worked their socks off. Cam Pring with absolutely no defensive cover from in front of him. And Max O'Leary made a world-class double save. Otherwise, it could have been worse. It could have been 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So I don't I don't think it's a cause to rip it up and start again. But I think he's got to have a very, very careful look and make sure that by trying to do more in the final third, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and lose our defensive ability. The big miss today was the big miss. I just finished, Dave. The big miss today was Rob Dickey. Zach Viner looked half the player next to Cal Naismith, who he made two howling errors, neither of which led to goals, but they could easily have done so. So I'm glad we've signed McNally. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, I'm glad as well. And I said the other week, I think Naismith is a liability in a back four. Whilst it didn't lead to any goals conceded today, it rather proved my point. And you saying with Liam, he's really got to help himself, because let's get on to the starting lineup. Tanner, Viner, Naismith, Pring. Well, it was Naismith in for Dickey. McNally had played in midweek. He could have played McNally in that starting lineup, Ian, couldn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, he's only been at the club about a day, so you would hope that Naismith had more idea about what was going on, and Viner and Naismith had played together before. So I can understand him making that decision. Personally, I'd have played Hayden Roberts instead of Cal Naismith, because Hayden Roberts is too good a player. I mean, he was if you based it on about the last 15 games of last season, he was our player of the season. So I would have played Hayden Roberts, and I would play him next week. Not next week, the next away game, which is Blackburn, is our next game away.
Which is Blackburn away, for whom Andy Viner scored a worldie today, if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw it. I'd play Roberts in a 3.
But that doesn't structurally alter the whole shape of the side here, because the rationale.
Yeah, but it needs altering.
The rationale for not playing Roberts is that he doesn't have the height. Now the thing is, if he's sort of not good as a central in a 4, you could put Pring in that area and put Roberts at left back, which is a position he played for Derby.
Yeah, but Roberts is a better central defender, and there's only an inch in difference in height between Hayden Roberts and Cal Naismith.
Fair enough.
So,
All right.
I think once again, I think both Naismith and Roberts would be better in a 3, and I think we have to do what's best for the team overall, not stick rigidly to a 4-2-3-1. Which, and people saying silly things like Manning struggles to motivate the players. Well, he didn't struggle against Coventry, he didn't struggle against Hull, and he didn't struggle against Millwall. So you can't take one game and spin that over a whole season and say, oh, look, it's a disaster. But all I will say is there are no excuses. He's had a great window in terms of what a manager would want. He's had, apart from one player, he's had absolutely everything that he wanted and more, possibly.
Yeah.
And we've got a good enough squad to do far better than that. Now, Rob Atkinson is training with the first team. He was going to have a game for the under 21s, but they decided to keep him in training. And I'd be very surprised if he wasn't on the bench next week. So I think because he could probably do 35, 40 minutes if we needed him. If not, he keeps training, plays a couple of under 21 games, and comes back that way.
Ian,
so we will be a lot stronger, bearing in mind that we're not playing for 2 weeks, and we'll have McCrory back as well.
Yeah, you say about having to bring Atkinson back. We don't need to rush him back because we've got McNally who can come in straight away. It was worrying when we saw Dickey quoted by the manager as being out for a couple of months. In Bristol City language, it looked when he pulled up against Cov last weekend, that looked almost as innocuous as what it did with Rob Atkinson on the touchline against Sunderland. It's not quite 2 years ago; it's 18.
Yeah, but Rob had an ACL, which is a completely different injury. This is a hamstring that, as far as I know, doesn't require an operation.
Okay.
Now, the one that Eamon Benarous has, they are now, after saying, oh, you don't need an operation, he is now going to have an operation, I believe. And it's only a very minor injury in terms of the severity of it. He's not completely torn his hamstring out the back of his legs. So, yeah, I think my understanding is Rob Dickey will be back in about 2 months. So that's 8 weeks. 2 weeks of that is the international break.
Well, 8 weeks will take him. 8 weeks will take him into the second international break, basically. So we won't see Rob until November, I would think.
Yeah, and if we can, we've now got Luke McNally, and we've also got Rob Atkinson who can come back.
And Hayden Roberts, so we don't need...
And Hayden Roberts, so, we can't say, oh, well, Rob Dickey's out, so that's the end of the season. That'd be daft.
Yeah. Ian Gilmore said on the text feed here, and I'm inclined to agree with him, that Manning is stubborn, yeah? And we know what managers are like when we get stubborn. This was prompted some comment on in Derby circles as well as on our own feed. We spent all summer pursuing Scott Twine. Yeah, we play him left in an unfamiliar role and playing Bird forward. Are we trying to accommodate four players, Williams, Bird, Twine, where really one of those, to put Twine in his best position, right? He was signed to be a 10. Why are we playing Bird there?
Well, he played 10 today. We played with 2 10s, and that was half the problem with Cam Pring having no cover. He doesn't play 11 like Mehmeti plays 11. We played with 2 10s, and sometimes, particularly in the second half, they got in each other's way. So I think you make a decision. Bird was signed. He wasn't signed to play 10. He was signed to play 6. So as one of 2 holders or one of 3 narrow in a 5-man midfield with wing backs. Right. So I think we go back to something like that. The balance is better. The shape's better. And if it isn't working with Twine as a central 10 behind one striker, you can always drag Twine off and play with 2 strikers in Armstrong and Malulu, which a lot of people have asked for. But but some of this stuff. Alan Dart, come on, Manning's a pound shop, Eddie Howe.
Well, he's got the same.
The
He's got
owners
the
have
same sort of
chucked money
hairstyle.
at the
Yeah,
wrong
I
bloke
mean,
again.
I
And
take the point.
once again, we haven't had any of this for months,
No, we
right?
haven't. We haven't.
All of a sudden, we lose one game and they're all back on here and they're going to be committing Harry Carey out in the car park
Yeah,
at
well, that's
Ashton
very
Gate.
apt when we got a little Japanese guy who made his debut, which was a welcome
Exactly
surprise.
right, and I liked him as well. So let's not,
Ian, you said about
let's just all calm down a little bit. One
yeah.
game into season, and
All right.
Derby, I got to be honest, ain't that good, but
No,
they
they
played
weren't.
to a
I thought
system.
Derby were appalling, but they
And
made us look a right
yeah,
bunch of chumps. And as you said, it could have been fun. If, as you say, and you play Twine in behind a single striker, yeah, and then Bird in his natural position, who do you, and you said, and Bird was brought in to play in a pivot 2 or maybe 3 if we have 5 across the midfield, which we haven't done yet this season, right? But if you look at, if you drop Bird back to 6, who do you drop out of Williams and Knight? Because I'm not a great Williams fan, but I thought he had a better game than Knight today.
Yeah, well, I don't see at the moment. I don't see what the fuss is about with Jason Knight. I thought he was no better than Williams today. In fact, Williams might have been better. We didn't win the ball well in the second half. We didn't. We were too easily to play through. We were slow at the back, apart from well, I mean, if you've got Naismith there, you're going to be slow at the back. You just are. But Dickey is no quicker, but he wins a lot more first balls, which makes up for it. And it makes Zach Viner look a better player. But they were all fine in the first half. They didn't look like bad players in the first half. And so what I would do, if you're saying to me, I'd play 3 at the back with Viner right, McNally centre, Roberts left. Then I played Tanner, Knight, Williams, Bird, Pring across the midfield. I played Twine as the 110. And I played Mayulu up front because I think he'll make the runs and he's a better finisher than Sinclair Armstrong.
Yeah.
And so I do it the opposite way round. But that's a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, we're abusing. I mean, if you look at the strikers that were signed, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mayulu was the £2 million striker, correct me if I'm wrong, and Armstrong was the £1 million striker. So we got 2. Yeah. So instead of buying 1 for 3 million, we got a 2 and a 1. Yeah. What's Mayulu got to do to get in the starting lineup? Because all of Armstrong's best stuff comes when he is playing slightly out on the left, didn't it? Where he's terrorizing the fullback. So Mayulu, when he comes on, I think he comes on when we're, 2-0 down. We're chasing the game. Does he deserve a start?
Yeah. I mean, we just lost 3-0. So if you're not scored any goals. So if you're not getting a game, then you've got to be saying to the manager, well, what do I need? What do I need to do to get in the side? I mean, he's scored, was it 2 goals this season? They were 2 real good ones as well. And just to answer Ian Gilmore on the text feed, Ian, come on, are you really convinced with Manning? He rarely starts with 2 strikers. Well, neither does Pep Guardiola, and he ain't bad. So that's the way, modern football, and I don't like it any more than you do, Ian. Is and I would start with Armstrong and Fally, but we're not going to spend money on Twine and then drop him.
No, we have spent money on Twine, and I know you said we played him as 2 10s, and they were getting in each other's way, right?
Yeah,
and we played
that's
him
why
wide or as 2 10s last week. Come on, we're giving the man the tools, right? Let's use it. He needs to use them properly. And an inexperienced
that's why I play Max Bird further back. Max Bird is a really good, really creative player. Didn't have a great game today, but he didn't have he was decent in the first half, and he was like most of them. He seemed to tire in the second half, and as I say, him and Twine were getting into each other's way. So I'll blame the manager for that. And I'm not saying he hasn't made mistakes. And Ian's saying now, why not start with Armstrong and Fally? Well, yeah, I would. I play a 3-5-2 because it's not compulsory that you play a 10. But I think that would be a bridge too far for Liam Manning at the moment. Right. But it's always something you can do later in the game if you're on top, but you can't get the ball in the net. But what you have to remember is Twine is, to be honest, our most creative player. If you look at that Armstrong's 2 chances together were both created by Scott Twine.
Yeah.
Beautiful ball with the outside of his foot down the left wing, comes inside the fullback, gets blocked by the goalkeeper. And the other one was a through ball down the side of the centre half. He muscles his way in, but once again, he gets too close to the keeper and the keeper falls on him.
Well, their keeper, Ian.
That's what I call a Wayne Allison finish till he had some coaching.
Yeah, okay. I'm delighted Mark's got into the room at last using the same link, and I'm delighted to get a Derby County view from a very good friend of mine, Mike Stewart. Mike, we were chatting before the game. The scoreline flattered us in the end. I mean, I bet you were worried after about 20 minutes, weren't you, when we seemed to have you penned back in your own half on your own turf? Oh, sound's gone there, Mike.
Can we keep it that way, David? I like that.
I can't hear you, Mike. I can't hear
Mike's
you.
on mute, probably.
Yeah.
Send him a private chat message, Dave. Unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Mike.
Unmute. Right. Is he? No, he's there. No, we can't hear. There's no sound. No sound, Mike. No sound. That's a shame. C'est la vie. C'est la vie. Mark, let me bring you in while we're talking. Mike might work his mic out in a minute. Mark, we were just talking about the formation of the side, and Naismith being a bit of a liability at the back. Twine, I said he was playing out left. Ian said that he was we were playing with 2 10s today. I mean, before we get into some of the detail of the action, what's your thoughts on today's game overall, Mark?
That we were well on top in the first half, and we just didn't turn that domination into goals. I mean, Twine and Bird were the focal points of our attack. Twine played in 2 great chances for Sinclair Armstrong that he didn't take because he's still a bit raw, but he's the only player who can get goal side of the defender with his upper body strength. And we played some nice football, especially there were a couple of moves, down the right wing and the left wing. But once Twine and Bird's influence faded, the game was gone. We lost the second ball in midfield. Ozo started coming with second tackles. We were very narrow, and it was just like watching Rotherham Mark II because of Paul Warren. Getting the balls forward down the channels, supported by players, play the percentage football, take the chances off of that. Not pretty to watch, but effective.
Okay, let's just try you again, Mike. Obviously, you can hear me. Yeah, can you speak, Mike, and say something? See if we get some sound. No, we've got no sound. Mike, I'm going to bounce you out. This doesn't normally happen, right? But we should have done some testing beforehand. But you can gloat. You were going to say we berated you the last time you were on here, but we'll try and get this working for another time. But Mike sat there, sort of big grin on his face, and all I have to say about Mike is he gave me every chance to pick up the mic back in the old days of Radio West back in 1983. But there we go. It's a long time ago. We were both in short trousers then. But I'm going to bounce you out, Mike, and because we just can't hear the sound. Bang. Gone. All right. Okay. Let's get into the action. We've talked about those chances that we had early on with Armstrong. There was a penalty shout turned down, Mark. I'll come to you on that since Ian and I have chunted away for a little bit. It was the player falling, really, wasn't it? That was before they took the lead. Yeah? Did you see that?
Yeah, I think, that was the result of a good move down the right, I think, between Bird and Sykes and Tanner and Twine, and should really have put it in the back of the net, should have buried it. And I think the player falls and it hits his hand. There's a possibility with a VAR review gets given, but you don't get those things in the Championship. I mean, it's like all in wrestling. You get away with loads of things in the Championship. Over physical, play, arms round his shoulders of Armstrong today. So you just got to take the rough with the smooth because referees let a lot go. But really, we should have.
Tom Neal today was awful as a referee for both sides. He was just giving.
Yeah, we should have put the ball in the back of the net. You know, we played the ball down the channel brilliantly, and when we passed the ball at pace with nice short passes, we were great, but we didn't put the ball in the net.
I wrote down on about the 20-minute mark that we had 66 possession, which for us, certainly in pre-Manning era, was never a sign that we were playing well. Ian, the goal that, I won't say it came against a run of play because we'd had our little flourishes, but the goal that gave Derby the lead, I've got here 28 minutes, Mendes, Lang to Koeman. Max did a wonderful save with his feet, went for a corner. We never really cleared that, did we? I mean, take us through that pattern of play. No. Mendes Lang, you know, he's a bit of a journeyman, but he's still effective, isn't he? And I think he was at Cardiff for a few years before.
He's effective if you let him get back. If he's back to goal and you let him turn, he's got a decent football brain and he can pass the ball. I think, yeah, with the goal, it was we struggled from set pieces all day. No surprise, Rob Dickie wasn't there, and the ball came in. It was cleared initially. Cam Pring jumped up and won the header near the edge of the box, but unfortunately, or probably about 12 yards out, but unfortunately, he headed it downwards. Yeah. And if you do that, you're always asking somebody to shoot. So the guy shot, it went through an absolute pile of players. None of them got close enough to block it. And I think Max was unsighted when the ball went in his bottom right-hand corner.
I don't blame Max for any of the goals that went in today, and it would be harsh to do that.
If it wasn't for Max, it could have been 6.
Exactly. And what you said about Pring with the header that went down, it was not dissimilar to what happened with, I think it was Tanner. Admittedly, it was a chest, but Tanner chested the ball into the path of Casey Palmer last week. Interesting that Casey Palmer ended up.
And Jason Knight flicked the ball on to the Millwall player who got their third goal. What's his name?
Watmore. Yeah.
Duncan Watmore, who hooked the ball into opposite corner. So when you're winning defensive headers, the main thing you've got to get on it is height. I mean, obviously, don't head the damn thing straight up in the air, but you've got to get height, which allows players to get out to block the ball. Now, I know Pat Mountain is doing our set pieces, and last year we were, albeit we had Rob Dickie, we were really good at defending set pieces for not a very big team. Now that we've got some big units, I suggest we play them, and it's. You know, Blackburn's going to be, they're going well. I mean, Andy Vyman scored an absolute worldie today.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
did.
So,
you know, I like the lad they signed from Japan as well. He's an excellent player. And they got a point at Burnley despite being down to 10 men.
Yes, they did.
Once again, for something daft, his second booking was for showing an imaginary yellow card to the referee.
Well, he was and the referee, which you can't do. Mark, what did you think of the opening goal? You know, I mean, I don't blame Max. It went through a crowd of players. He couldn't really see anything.
Yeah, I mean, good win. Good in the Dutch player. He's actually waiting for the loose ball to come to the edge of the area because all of our players are camped on the edge. I think Joe Williams gets a touch before it comes out, and Pring jumps in the air and makes a sort of, he brings himself in and heads the ball down, really. And of course, he's got the goal to aim at, so it goes through a crowd of players. But all the players are on the 6-yard box, and he's there for that loose ball, a bit like Casey Palmer that was last week. Although he picks it up just behind the penalty spot, and he hits it. Max can't see it; it zeroes into the corner. And we had a warning before that when the same player, Max, saved with his feet when they got behind us, because that was the first warning sign. But it's just we dealt with it poorly. We should get the first ball, head the ball out of the area. You don't head the ball straight. You've got to head the ball. You've got to head the ball sideways. Get the ball off the pitch. It's a poor defensive error. We're punished.
We're 1-0 down, and then Naismith, I wrote 34 minutes, Naismith, and then you complete 5-letter word beginning with P. What the hell was he doing there? And Goodminge, or whatever his name was, probably not Goodminge or whatever it is. He put that wide of the target. We did, though, Mark, have a nice little passage of play. Put a little star by it on 35 minutes. Bird to Tanner to Twine. Zeta Strong with a save. I mean, yeah, if we'd have gone in at half-time level, that was the least we deserved, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, we had some nice approach play, playing the ball at pace. But again, it's really Twine should strike through the ball a bit more firmly, and the goalkeeper's got no chance. Again, a 6 foot plus Swedish goalkeepers for the second week running. You know, he made some very good saves.
With a little helmet on, like that Chelsea goalkeeper used to wear, whose name escapes me at the moment. You know?
Peter Cech.
Yeah, Peter Cech. Yeah.
Okay, so we go in 1-0. We go in 1-0 down.
Yeah, we should have been ahead. We concede that soft goal from a corner because we haven't taken our chances. And yet again, we get another great chance, playing the ball at pace, passing and moving down the channels really well, and we failed to take it.
Yeah. Second half starts, Ian. Would you have made any changes at half time?
Yeah, I would have. I can understand why you didn't. You know, leave it until 60 minutes, see if they sort themselves out. But by that time, we were 2-0 down. I would have made changes in formation. I'd have brought you on for Mark Sykes. I mean, you got outside the fullback more times in 10 minutes than Mark Sykes did in the preceding 80.
Comes inside every bloody time, doesn't he? Every time.
And you is quick, he's nippy. So if you're going to play that formation, that's your right winger, and leave Sykesy on the bench. But as I said, I wouldn't play that formation. But he's not going to ring me up and say, "What do you reckon I ought to do, Ian?" So no, it don't work that way.
But
So,
Ian, let me ask you this. Look, we started the second half well again because Sinclair, I'm getting his first name right now, he had a shot saved, and then
good shot.
We had very, very good claims for a penalty on 52 minutes, when Williams was sent down. What did you think of that?
Well, it falls in the same category as the one in the first half that the guy blocked with his hand, we think. It's in the category of
more clear cut. I mean, the bloke didn't play the ball.
Yeah, well, it's in the category of I've seen them given. But the trouble is with I mean, it's referees, and I've noticed even more this year, linesmen. They seem to be looking at the referee. They seem to be looking at the referee for a decision that's right in front of them. I mean, the Armstrong, when he got the forearm smash off the midfield player, he was literally 2 meters away, and he's looking at the referee that's in the middle of the pitch. So what was that a foul? Because the linesman doesn't do anything. The referee.
These are the sort of people that would be frightened to leave their car on a single yellow line for 5 minutes. You know, I think this is a personality trait that they don't want to get it wrong, so they look to the.
Somebody was telling me that some referees say to their linesmen, "Don't you just do offsides, leave the rest to me," which defeats the object of the linesman being a qualified referee, I think. So at the end of the day, it wasn't down to the officials the reason we lost today. But you're right. We could have had a couple of penalties, and then it's a different game. And here's a quiz question for everybody: with Tommy gone and Naki normally on the bench, who's on penalties?
I'm guessing Scott Twine, maybe. Don't know if Max Bird's taken.
All right,
I'm asking because I don't know, not because I do. I haven't got a clue.
I would call that a quiz question.
Twine.
A tactical question to ask the manager at the next press conference. Not that we'll be invited to that.
On that goal, I think his name's Curtis Elder. Williams turns and he does clip him, but I mean it's almost like I remember they used to say back in the 80s, and it's probably still true. If you had a boxing match in Mexico, unless you knocked out the home guy, you never win the bout. It's almost like that. What have you got to do to get a penalty?
The game when you're 2-0 down, or unless you're playing against Bristol City, because I hear what you're saying about like we shouldn't panic. We've got to bear in mind that against Millwall we were 2-0 up, and we ended up going 3-2 down there and came back into it, right? Okay, so just parking that, but a 2-0 down, you have got a mountain to climb. Mark, Yates, who looked like he lost 2 stone since the last time I saw him play, but he puts Jackson. I mean, there was 10 City players in the box. I mean, that second goal, Mark, what the bloody hell is going on with the defence? He just has the freedom of the penalty box, doesn't he? Right in front of our fans as well. We were down it. Well, they were down in that corner. Absolutely appalling goal to let in.
It's one of those switched off from a throw-in. They're about 5 yards from the corner flag on the left. The ball gets thrown to Jerry Yates, who's on the byline. Finer and Naismith are attracted to him. And he just plays the ball back to Jackson, and Joe Williams doesn't pick him up. He's got 2 yards of space, and he cracks the ball in the back of the net. Don't need to RSVP it, just smacks it in. But it's just awful defending. Switch off from a throw-in. Yates just plays the ball back to Jackson. He smacks it in the back of the net. Total, desertion. Awful.
Yeah, and it's the sort of goal that if you're having a training match, the first team against the reserves, your first teamer cracks that in because the reserves haven't been coached as well, and just an absolute bloody shambles. What did you think of that one, Ian? The second goal on the hour.
The one from the throw-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a hideous defending. I mean, what you do when a throw's coming in like that, you put one player in front of the big lump it's going to, and one player behind it, and you effectively, in a legal way, if you like, sandwich him. So you stop the ball getting to him. Once he's got the ball in the box, you're in trouble, particularly if he's got it under control at his feet, because you dare smash into the back of him or tap his ankle because he's going to go straight on the floor. So you've got a jockey, but we didn't pick up the runner that was coming in either. So it was bad defending, and so was the third. Joe Williams was tracking back. Well, yeah, he was tracking back, but he was blowing out of you-know-where, and the lad just brushed him off and got the volley in for the third. So, they are, when we all know Liam Manning likes his clips. And he's going to have to sit down with them with the clips and say, right, okay, well, this is what you did wrong. You did wrong. You did wrong. I was disappointed with some of our players today, and I haven't said anything like this for a while, but they were going down a bit easy. There's a few players out there that really weren't, they were putting half a foot in, and there was a few people that are getting a tackle, fall straight over and hold their ankle. And then the next minute, they're up running around like a 2-year-old. So I'm not saying they weren't fouls of any kind, but and we, I mean, the referee awarded us a lot more fouls than he awarded them today.
Did
he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't like those things. That is a bit of a I'm going to pretend I'm trying, but I'm not really. And I think
point
we're
the
better.
finger.
We need to be better than that.
Point the finger. Who are you talking about there? Come on.
Jason Sykes went down easy. Jason Knight has gone down easy. Max Bird, Scott Twine. Scott Twine went down about 4 times in the first 15 minutes, and the referee just basically went, "No chance, mate. It's not happening." Now, I don't expect Scott Twine. We haven't bought him to kick people up in the air, all right? And Joe Jordan said a really good thing to me once about wingers and forwards. He said, "I don't expect wingers to defend and tackle like fullbacks, but I do expect them to get in the way." And that's what he's got to do. He's got to get in the way of them. So, because his skill is going that way, right? That's what we signed him for: creating chances, taking set pieces, score a few goals, all that good stuff. That's what we need to do. Yeah. But he also needs to stop. Once they've got the ball, there's a few times where their players carry the ball, and what Knight and Williams aren't good at, and that McQuain, who's come up on the chat, is good at, is carrying the ball forward in midfield. And you might see Manning give him a try.
Well, as another player, I mean, we're getting all these players. We seem as though we got an embarrassment of riches, but we got the typical Bristol City. We've got a lot of players that are of comparable ability. Mark, Max, I mean, their keeper did some good saves, but Max, just after they went 2-0 up, and I can't remember whether it was before or after our substitutions, but I mean, I think the ball was dinked over, and they were 2 outstanding saves, weren't they? And
yeah, I think we tried to play offside, and they ended up with 3 players on the 6-yard line. So Max smothers a shot to his left, and then he gets up like Jim Montgomery in the second 73 Cup final. Not as spectacular, but smothers the second header. Yeah, and if I've just lost 3/4 of the listenership, sorry about that, and pushes it out with strong hands. But it still comes back, and Tanner has to hook it off the line, otherwise it would have rolled over the line. So great save from Max, who kept us in the game, because from 2-0 down, Derby went from a team who just had a couple of chances to raining down the shots on our goal.
Oh, well, I've got here, Mark. I've got here just 4 minutes after that, Mendes Lang got in the clear, advanced forward, and Max was out of his goal. That one rolled. That one rolled wide of the post. Then Naismith put Yates and had his mess cleared up by Viner. I mean, it was just getting. And then Barkhausen, who was on as a sub, put the ball to Yates, and he had more space again to curl one onto the post, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know whether Max got any fingertips to that, but that looked like it was going straight in the bottom corner, and it hit it so firmly it came straight out. Barkhausen used to play for Preston North End.
That's right.
A few years ago. But yeah, I mean, really, we could have gone 3-4-0 down easily there. If Derby really got hold on the game, they were getting through our press. And what I think we're finding when the second half, that we haven't done in other games, and I think Ian said, trying to go down too easily, but we lost the second ball. We weren't winning any second balls once their goal side. And I think the young guy they got in from Palace, Ozo, he came into the game where Goodin faded. They took him off, but Ozo really came into the game. And when you got some like Cam Pring playing high up, they found our weak spot. We were just so much space down the right-hand channel to exploit. It was just far too easy to get behind us, and then they had all those chances. But luckily, we got a top keeper in Max who made some saves.
Yeah. And Mark, the substitutions, I mean, on the hour, here we go, 62 minutes. Ian felt changes could have been made before then.
Yeah.
Mayulu and Mehmeti coming on for Armstrong and Bird. Could he not have... I mean, Mehmeti, who didn't do too bad, actually, when he came on, in fairness. But, if Hirakawa is fit enough to be on the bench, you could have given him 28. And you could have brought on Mayulu and Hirakawa, couldn't you? Yeah. And was that the right substitutions? Never mind the timing.
I mean, I would have put Hirakawa on at half time instead of Sykes. I think Mehmeti did threaten to get us back into the game, but
he
again,
set up a chance for Sykes. He did set up a chance.
Yeah, I mean, there was a chance for Williams, and he bloomed across that was behind Mayulu, and we weren't able to get a firm header on the ball and poked it wide. Perhaps it would have been better to Mehmeti at the back post. But I think when Mehmeti is getting in those areas on the left-hand side, instead of trying to take those touches to get back inside, he just hit the ball with his left foot across the keeper straight away. Too many touches. What he might have, I mean, in this game and in other games, we're actually getting a lot of volleys into the box, but some of our final balls are awful because we're taking too many touches. We need to, either cross the ball hard and low, or just take a shot and wait for the ball to come out. That's what Derby were doing. They were bombarding the ball into the box and trying to pick up the afters. Yeah. We didn't do that, and again, our crossing was really, really poor.
Woeful.
Awful, yeah.
Ian Twine, he had a free kick tipped over the top. It was a good effort in the 81st minute. And then when the final substitutions came on 82, Hirakawa and Wells on for Twine and Sykes. So you'd taken off your two most creative players by then, just like you did last week against Coventry. Bird and Twine are both off the pitch. Could he not have left Twine on and brought on Hirakawa, and maybe brought McNally on and given him the last 10 minutes because you're 2-0 down, right? Naki, if he gets 5 goals this season, that'll be a miracle because he's just not getting enough minutes with his minutes to goals ratio. But those substitutions, they were baffling. Never mind the timing. You've taken off your two most creative players.
Yeah, probably because at least one of them, Bird, looked like he was blowing out of where to me. Remembering he's not used to playing that more forward position, which is another reason I'm saying play him further back where he's used to, and he gives us balance and he can create from there. There's nothing stopping him getting forward. because you can play a 6 and 2 8s, which is how I play Knight and Bird. But that's one for Liam to pick up.
Yeah.
But and Twine as well didn't play an awful lot of football in pre-season for Burnley. So because one of the reasons because Burnley had so many blooming players.
Yeah.
So he's got to think about it. He's got to think, well, do I leave him on for another 10 minutes and he might, God forbid, hurt his hamstring, or do I take him off now? We're probably going to lose the game anyway, and give somebody else a bit of a pop.
All right, why not give Ian on that basis then? Why not give McGuane? I mean, look, our bench. I mean, the pathway for academy players now, when everybody's fit, which is never going to happen, but a pathway for academy players now, when McCrory gets fit and Atkinson gets fit and whatever, none of them are going to get anywhere near the match day 20. But he could have brought McGuane on in the middle. Yeah, why not? He could have bought. He got 5 substitutions. He got the timing wrong, and he only used 4. Yeah, I mean, he could have done another substitution, couldn't he?
I think that when Derby dropped into that back 5 at the end before they scored the 3rd goal, we didn't have we didn't have any supply. Once Twine had gone off, we can't cross the ball to save our lives, and nobody's getting in front of the defender to do anything anyway. So we're never gonna get the ball past a deep line defence without creative players like Twine or Bird on. So the game was gone then before the 3rd goal went in. We just didn't have the capability to pump the ball into the box because we never get anybody on the end of it.
And then if you want something up front, you could have even brought bloody Harry Cornick on, couldn't you, at the end of the day? Yeah, instead of Naki. I don't know. He's a different player to Naki. Chris Honor's come on the text here. And Chris, be good to have you on one of the podcasts coming up. I don't know if you're still over in Spain. Don't think you are now. But he said, "Hi, gents. How disappointing. Max is hypersensitive to the ball over the top as Naismith lacks pace." And then he said, and Chris is saying, "I thought Twine offers nothing defensively and tackles worse than Mehmeti. We are weak mentally." Yeah, what we need, I've been watching Ted Lasso. I never saw it when it first came off. And it's that psychologist comes in, I think, in episode 1 of series 2 of Ted Lasso. But we are weak mentally. As Ian said, we were dropping a little bit and our heads were going down a little bit. And Ian, I'll come to you. The 3rd goal, who is it who put the shot in that Max saved before Max sort of saved it and then Ozo made it 3? Because that was another good effort. And the bloke had too much space again, didn't he?
Yeah, to be honest, Dave, I can't remember. I can remember the follow-up. The shot was blocked or saved and went out, and then they had a midfield player coming onto the ball to shoot, and Joe Williams was tracking him, and he just shook Joe off. Joe looked like he'd run his race, mate, to be honest. And he's hit it, he's kept it low, and it's got a deflection on top of that and gone past Max into the bottom corner. So, yeah, once again, not Max's fault, but by then we were throwing people forward, and it looked to me like we didn't have the energy to get back. And our defence, for a defence, we had a defence today that couldn't play deep because they weren't powerful enough aerially if the ball got thrown in the box, but it couldn't play higher up because we didn't have the pace to recover. I mean, Zach's quick enough, but you can't just have one centre back that's quick enough. You've got to have 2.
4 league. I mean, look here.
Or as I said, because people will say, "Oh well, Naismith's as quick as Dickie." I don't think he is, but Dickie wins the first ball, so the scenario of you having to chase back isn't increased. And when McNally plays, and I'll be amazed if he doesn't start at Blackburn. Amazed, because he has had a full pre-season and he's fit, so he'll come in probably next to Zach. I think he'll probably stick with a 4. I wouldn't, as I said, because I think Hayden Roberts is far too good a footballer to be left out of our team. But I think I'll be amazed if McNally's not playing, and if we're not doing something different. And I also think 2 weeks' time, Hirakawa's going to start as well, and the bench will be stronger with McCrory on it. So.
Well, who's going to be the unlucky people that are left out? That's the key thing.
Today we had 2. We had 5 forwards on there. You don't need 5.
No. So Harry Cornick or Naki Wells probably won't make the bench at Blackburn.
I would suggest Harry Cornick, who was could have been out of the club yesterday, but didn't want to go.
Did he? Could he?
Yeah. We had an offer, a deal agreed with Millwall, and he turned down the move.
Interesting. So that's
Yeah.
that's official, is it, Ian? Because I've not seen that written anywhere thus far.
That's as far as I know from a contact I've got up in London who covers Millwall, West Ham, and God knows what. So he's saying Millwall were after
His wife's
Cornish.
just had a new baby, and if she's a Bristol girl, she probably said, "You ain't going up there and leaving me with a 5-week-old kid."
Well,
That's how it is.
I've heard the same said before. So, but if I've got it wrong, I put my hands up. I apologise, and Harry can come on here, and I will apologise personally to him.
Mark, Ian keeps talking about. Well, Ian, we all do. We keep talking about formations. What is our best side? I mean, Liam wanted time on the grass. That was his excuse for some dismal performances in the wake of the West Ham victory, although we got it together in the last 7 games of the season before capitulating at Stoke on the final day. But what, for you, Mark, is your best lineup with, I would say, everybody fit? Because we haven't got Rob Dickey now, and, Rob Atkinson, he's not a player. There's no urgency to bring Rob back now if McNally's come into the frame. It's not like we signed the kiddie from Leicester, Nelson, who ended up going to Oxford, I think, because I think if Dickey's injury had been less severe, I think we may have gone for Nelson. I don't know. But Mark, what's your best lineup that you would pick against Blackburn in a fortnight's time?
What, if I had all the players available?
And I don't mean, well, Ian says McCrory is available, but I'm saying players that are reasonably fit. You're not taking, because Hirakawa has to come in contention now because he got 10 minutes today. It's not like you don't, he's an untested quantity. What do you start at Blackburn in a fortnight?
Well, there wouldn't be a lot of changes really because City had most of their best players out there. I put Hirakawa in for Sykes and McNally in for Cal Naismith. There's not that many changes that you could make. I suppose it's whether you have. I mean, Max Bird is playing a number 10 role when really, perhaps he should be playing is the 6. That might need a slight tweak in the formation. I mean, the weird thing is we're actually creating more chances than we were, I think last season. We look more effective going forward. We got 2 players who actually can play the ball between the centre backs. We got a strong number 9 who can get goal side. The problem we got is when we get presentable chances, we're not putting them in the back of the net, and then our energy seems to sap in the second half. So
it's done that in every game, Mark. Hasn't it?
We lose our grip. I think we lost a bit of streetwise. We've lost the streetwiseness of Matty James, not necessarily his ability, but the sort of old, an old head really there to, to just pull us out, to get us to refocus our efforts. So we've lost that. But I think that Manning is changes. I mean, making these changes like regularly on the 60-minute mark. I mean, mostly it seems to be because Sinclair Armstrong, raw as he is, he can't last 90 minutes, and he thinks he's more effective starter than Mayulu. Could you swap them? I don't know. I think if Armstrong improves his finishing, we win that game easily. It's easy to say, but he needs to score some of those chances he's getting, and he's getting plenty. He just needs to put some of those in the back of the net. He needs to perhaps lift the ball when he's one-on-one with a goalkeeper. Just work on that. But he's getting in those positions. We're creating chances, lots of good chances. We need to we need to refocus when maybe make some tweaks in the middle of the game. We're also getting done because Cam Pring is playing quite high up. We're playing a lopsided back 4, and teams are just exploiting us from behind. So Manning he needs to make changes earlier because they all seem to be 60 minutes plus, and make positive changes. I also think players need to be a bit braver in the area, try and push the ball on, and try and take it, try and encourage a challenge. I mean, players like Mark Sykes, they don't want to go past a defender, but make a defender make a challenge.
He comes in.
So just a few little things we can do. But if you want an OTIB, anybody think it was the end of the world?
John Allison
has said comments on OTIB. Anybody think it was the end of the world?
Yeah, John Allison has said in the text, McGuane for Williams, you for Sykes, and McNally for Naismith. I mean, there's some changes. Yeah, you get that. But if you're playing, if you're going to play Twine, are you still going to be playing with 2 10s, Bird and Twine? Because, if you got McGuane in and you got McGuane and Knight as the pivot, it's just, the jigsaw is there, but we don't appear, I think it's a term you've used, Ian. We got the jigsaw, but we haven't got the box with the end product on there. Our defence was our strong point last season. In 4 league games now, we've conceded 8 goals. Yeah? We have conceded 8 goals. It's just so frustrating because you have this sense of deja vu with City, because it's the same old stuff that we're going through week after week after week after week. How does he sort the defensive side of things out, Ian? Should we be playing with a 5?
I'd go to a back 3, because we did that for quite a long time last season, and it worked very well. I mean, we had the 4th best, I think, defensive record in the division.
Yeah.
So it definitely works, and I think last year it was a better division than it is this year.
I agree.
So yeah, that's how I'd solve it. I mean, you can't have everything. You might want to play with 2 10s, but perhaps we can only afford to play with 1 because we need the cover. And I think we need the balance, we need the depth, and we need a player in central midfield that can pass the ball better than Knight and Williams, because neither of them are very good passers of the ball. They're adequate, but they're not. They haven't got the pass in them, in the vision that Max Bird has. So, yeah. And like I said, just because you're playing a bit deeper, it doesn't stop you from making forward runs and scoring goals. And that's what he used to do when he played that position for Derby. So,
who are you talking about there? Who talking about there with forward runs?
Max Bird.
Yeah, and it's interesting now. You say about players defensively playing balls forward. Cal Naismith, as I say, I think he's an absolute disaster in the back 4, and that's been proven today. But he did a couple of little balls very early on in the game, albeit he was playing defensively, where he threaded the ball through. And it was interesting just listening to both of you talk about the midfield. And I was on Radio Derby the other evening previewing the game. They wanted to know what we thought of Max Bird and Knight. And the thing they said about Knight is that you don't really know what his true position is. Yeah, because he did play even at wing-back, I think, or full-back sometimes. And there's a lack of end product. And I'm reading between the lines here now of what you two guys are saying. If anybody is under a little bit of pressure in having a starting lineup place, it's Jason Knight. Do you agree with that, Mark? Particularly as we've got McGuane in, and where's Earthy going to play when he comes back? Because he could be ready for the Blackburn game, couldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he could play on the right of a 3. I think Knight's probably his best position is in that pivot at 2 in front of the back 4, alongside Williams or Bird. But yeah, he's not. I mean, he's a box-to-box player about a lot of end product. I mean, there was loads of games last season where Knight nearly scored. He's a very good header of the ball in the opposition box. Not necessarily in our own box, as you saw when he given that goal away against Millwall. He's an energetic player who makes tackles, but he faded today.
He did.
Wouldn't really make much impact on the game.
He didn't. No, that's it.
But he's not getting into the box. He's been playing more defensive this season, so he's not getting on the end of things. But I think you could put somebody like Cal Naismith there in that too. I don't see why, but successive managers don't seem to want to do that. If he doesn't play as a left centre back, he doesn't play at all. But he did look very effective in that West Brom game. In the
Yeah, but we
FA
can't
Cup,
pick
he won
individual
3.
games all the time,
No,
Mark.
but that was
It's
it. But it did
consistent.
look
I know what you
good.
mean, though.
No, but it did look good. But it never happened again.
Yeah.
But nobody's been prepared to play in there again. But he's a good passer of the ball because he plays the ball hard through central areas to our number 10s, gets us in good positions. But as a left-sided centre back in a 2, he looks so suspect. And I think, yeah, is McGain going to be ready? Because I think he's a bit of a
Is he got enough quality to make a difference?
Well, he's never played. He's never played at this level. So on paper, you wonder, but
I know.
he's going to have to get pitched in sometime.
Or even if it's half a game. Use the 5 substitutions. You can use 5 out of 9. Bloody use them. That's what I say, and what have you, Ian. I mean, it's fine margins all the time because today we win. It's a bloody great start to the season. 4 games, 8 points. Everybody's happy. Forget the fact that we've gone out to Coventry in the Carabao Cup. Yeah, that's it. Draw today, right? We're on what, 6 points, 1.5 points a game. You know, that's sort of top half-ish. Yeah, it's okay, right? Lose as we have done and badly. It's not like we've battled away in a 3-2, right? It's 5 points out of 12, right? 1 win in 5. That ain't great. And Chris Honor has said on the text here, he's got to really go out to Blackburn, and you could say it's an easy game on the 21st against Oxford, but he's got to go out to Blackburn, and to get us back on track, even at this early stage of the season, we need to get something up there. I'm not saying it's must win, but we got to put in a performance, haven't we?
I mean, there's no such thing as a must win after 4 games. I mean, I think people can get carried away with that. Yeah, we need a much better performance at Blackburn than we did today in the second half, and that's not difficult because in the second half, after the first 10 minutes of it, we were poor. Certainly after the second goal went in, there was only one side going to win it. But I would like to see a much stronger, much better performance. He's got 2 weeks on the grass with everybody apart from those that are disappearing off to internationals. And I think that will include Jason Knight, Max O'Leary,
Mark Sykes,
and
Sinclair.
Yeah, with the under-21. So, and Luke McNally wasn't in either of the Irish squads, under-21s or senior. So, you know, he's got enough players to work with, and he needs to sit down, him and Hoggy and whoever else he involves, and say, right, well, where did it all go pear-shaped? I think McNally will make a massive difference. Zach is definitely better when he's got a big, dominant, ball-winning centre-half next to him. You know, I've said what I'd do. I don't think he'll do that. He might abandon the 2 10s experiment. I can't see him going 2 up top. But he's got all the tools, so he can't say, well, the squad wasn't strengthened. And I'm sure, as I said last season, there'll be times when, like today, it goes a bit pear-shaped in the second half. There'll be other times when we don't play that great and we win 1-0. So, you know, we just have to have a sensible, calm look at it. And I don't know, I didn't listen to his interview after the game yet, but apparently somebody said on here it was a very good, honest, straightforward interview.
I think that was I heard Joe Williams after the game.
Joe said it wasn't good enough, and we weren't at it, and he said sorry to the fans.
But look, it is what it is.
Bad,
he has been.
That's what he said.
Liam Manning has been backed in a way. Not he's been back.
No, don't go there because
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
You are. No, you're not. No, you're not. All the managers.
You do not know what I was going to say. I was going to say Liam Manning has been backed significantly, right? And he's got the tools. Right now, we're not out there buying Black & Decker or Bosch tools. We're in there buying Aldi own label, you know, centre aisle. That's being a bit harsh on Scott Twine. You know, Scott Twine's a Ryobi if we're looking at tools, right? But he's got to make it happen. He has no excuses now, right? And my concern for him, which is being voiced by just 1 or 2 others on the text feed here, and on the forums is that, is he a little bit out of his depth? Now, if in 10 games' time...
God, here we go. Same as exactly the
Yeah,
same
look,
thing.
10 games'
Was
time...
exactly the same thing was said last season, and it's tiresome. It really is. All this stuff about
Nigel Pearson. Oh my!
I didn't say you. I didn't say you weren't. But exactly what you're saying was said last season. Exactly what you're saying. Identical. It's not changed. And you know what? It won't. Because there's some people who genuinely want to see the bloke fail, and they don't like the Lansdowns, and they're taking out their dislike on Manning, who they don't like either, because they don't like anybody. So, and we've had a couple on here tonight. Four games into the season, they want to slash their wrists. Now, all the managers we've had here have been backed, right? Lee Johnson and Mark Ashton, 72 players.
Yeah.
Right? They've been backed. Nigel was backed. Not that he hasn't been backed as much as Lee Johnson was, and Liam Manning hasn't been backed as much as Lee Johnson was. And the amount of money we spent this summer and last summer is quite similar, because people forget that we brought in Jason Knight, we brought in Ross McCrory, we brought in Rob Dickey. They were expensive signings. Now, one excuse that I think a lot of the managers have had is injuries. We keep having this, we just cannot get rid of this hamstring injury problem. And I wrote a long missive about it, did some research in midweek, and it's a real problem for the game. And that's one excuse that any manager can have, because I'm telling you now, if Rob Dickey played today, I'm not saying we'd have won the game, but we wouldn't have lost it in that manner.
No.
And we just have to get on with it. But shouting about, he's been back more than anybody. He hasn't been back more than anybody.
No, I didn't say he's been back more than anybody. I said he's been back.
Everything. You said he's got the tools to do his job, and that's true. Now he's got the squad, and that that's the way that football is. The manager is given the tools to do the job.
Yeah.
Now he's got the players he wants, the same as Nigel got the players he wants, the same as Lee Johnson got the players he wants, and that's just the way things are. And City are no different from any other football club, and we all know what's going to happen if 10 or 15 games in, we're in the bottom four.
Yeah,
right, and it ain't going to be me or you that gets the bullet.
Gary Johnson always used to say, look at things in blocks of 10. And from the first 10 games, I would like to see, it's not great form, but the first 10 games, I would like to see us reach 15 points, which is a point and a half a game, right? I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation with a manager that has been able to get the player that he coveted, Scott Twine, play him in the bloody position that you bought him in for, and stop faffing around with Bird. Stop faffing around with Bird, who was bought in as a replacement, in effect, for Matty James. Yeah? That's what Bird was
but I mean, Bird wasn't bad in that role against Millwall in Coventry, was he?
He wasn't. No, I know he wasn't. I'm not saying he was bad, but let's play the players in their right positions. I mean, Cruisers Creek has said on here, if we're in the bottom four after 15 games, Manning needs to go. Well, he won't. And thanks, Chris. Chris Honor said on here, go for it, David. I think you hit a nerve, although I'm in Manning camp at the moment. It is his team now. That's hit the nail on the head. Mark, you sat there patiently. Just a last word from you, because I want to go and get me fish and chips. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'll just say, David, don't shoot the messenger. All he's doing is mentioning things that other people have said, not his own opinion. But by God, some people think it's the end of the world. We're doing a lot right. We're playing better football in parts, but we're being a bit naive when we don't convert those chances, when we're on top in games, and we're a little bit soft in the centre where we've put more attacking emphasis. We weren't like that last season. We were quite boring, pragmatic, just stayed in games, created hardly any chances and got results, but the football wasn't great. This season, the football's better when we look really good, but we're like a boxer. We're punching ourselves out and leaving ourselves.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Mark. You've hit the nail on the head.
I think we're doing a lot right. And if players need to be more aggressive, it's the players, the manager saying, look, they got all the tools to do it. be more aggressive in the opponent's area, be more dominant, win tackles in the centre of the pitch when you need to, and just prove to me that, you know, you're the best players for Bristol City, and the results will change. It's not the end of the world, and God.
Oh no, wonderfully, absolutely right. It's not the end of the world. Look, in every game this season, every game this season, the second half against this lot today, we were rank. And as some people have said, reading the text feeds, people are coming back who went to the game, very, very disappointing.
I wouldn't say we were ranked, David. We weren't that bad. We weren't great, but we weren't rank. We still created chances.
Some of the people coming back
we just plodded. There was no plan B.
That's not the manager, Mark. That's not the manager.
No. But I'm just saying it. You know, we still created chances. We just didn't do it. We just didn't do it with any tempo or much skill. We just lost our confidence. So I think some of it was in the head. But things aren't as bad as people make out.
I agree. Let's get a psychologist.
Crazy reaction.
Time to go. A lively discussion as always. Thanks everybody who's listened while we've been doing it live, and I'll log it up onto the various podcast platforms later on this evening. It's nice to have a week off. Plenty of time for some work to be done on the training ground, and the new boys to be bedded in. Because we have had a lot of changes here, and we're always hopeful when you're a Bristol City fan, and I think everybody's hopes were raised because it has been a bloody good window. There's no doubt about that. All the players that have come in, you know, you're not looking at any of them and thinking they're a bit dodgy. Some people saying, is Armstrong another Bass Savage? That's bloody harsh. I think he's got a lot.
It's bullshit, isn't it? I mean, anybody who says that's got half a brain.
Yeah, no, I think it's been a good window. And say we got a little reset now for 2 weeks. It'd be better if the next game was home against Oxford, but we got Blackburn away and then Oxford at home. I'm not sure who we've got on the 28th of September, and then we've got the 2 home games: Sheffield Wednesday and Cardiff. Sheffield Wednesday and Cardiff first week of October. And Darm said, Dave, not too much salt on the chips, not good for your blood pressure. Yeah, I've been testing my blood pressure actually on a little chart, and it's not too bad. I think the last time I did it, it was 135 over 81, so that's not bad for a 68-year-old old git. On that, I'll bid you all farewell. Mark, Ian, everybody who's listening, watching, whatever you're doing, have a great international break, everybody.